he would always be the guy at the parties with the fun stuff.
That's how one disgraced former police officer was known to this woman.
At the parties, the drugs were just always brought and given out.
She says former constable Elston Bostock had the reputation among her friends as the drug hookup, and the drugs were free-flowing.
The drugs that he would offer at the parties, it would be a white powder that he had in his pocket, and he would go around and lick his finger and stick it in his pocket, and then just fairy dust all of us and pop his finger in our mouths.
She spoke anonymously over fears of backlash. She says she partied with Bostock in Manitoba's Interlake in the late 2010s. This week, he pleaded guilty to trafficking cocaine, MDMA, and other drugs over the last decade. The former Winnipeg police veteran supplied drugs to friends and police officers. Prosecutors say it wasn't so much about making money, but for social gain.
Knowing he was dealing and handing out drugs from his pocket, it just felt like, hey, so how far could he go in terms of illegal activities while being a police officer?
Last fall, Bostock pleaded guilty to a number of crimes, such as leaking police information and conspiring with officers to get friends out of tickets. Details came out earlier this week in court showing that Bostock supplied drugs, sometimes while on duty, sometimes out of his police cruiser, and sometimes to fellow officers. He also admitted in court documents that he once had a cocaine dealer meet him here, outside this police detachment on Grant Avenue.
We have police public messaging that's very stern and strict and echoes a lot of what we saw in the war on drugs. And now, with this respect, we have a police officer who effectively facilitated a drug transaction right outside a police station.
Tandeep Sidhu researches policing. He says it's clear several officers knew what Bostock was up to for years and did nothing. He says that this case highlights systemic issues with police oversight.
It speaks to a broader police subculture where it's the premise of we will quote unquote protect our own.
Bostock's former friend says she's too fearful to speak with police about him.
There's just too much protection, I think, among police officers, it being an old boys club and everything.
3 other officers face criminal charges in connection with the investigation into Bostock. Now, Winnipeg police say they're still looking into other officers, and Bostock is due back in court next week for a sentencing hearing. Bryce Hoy, CBC News, Winnipeg.